It, man. I don't know what's wrong with YouTube. And it feels like this keeps happening only to me. I don't know. I don't think maybe it's because I'm streaming so much, but the stream keeps on kicking me out. I'm so deflated, but it is what it is, man. Let me do my predictions and then I can leave. So I think this is between Gerald Meerschaert versus Alexander. Is it what's his name? Michal Oleksiejczuk. Yes, Oleksiejczuk. What a name. So YouTube. I anyway. So Michal Oleksiejczuk versus Gerald Meerschaert. Let's get to the breakdown. I don't think is there going to be a reach advantage, man? Okay, it's Gerald Meerschaert is going to have a bit of a reach advantage. To be specific, a 3.5 inch reach advantage, which is going to be very interesting to see how it plays out, especially on the feet. Gerald Meerschaert is obviously the better finisher here, even though both of them are pretty good at finishing fights. Michal will probably finish the fight via KO or TKO, and Gerald Meerschaert is probably going to get a submission if he ends up finishing this fight. Let's get to the striking. Striking wise, Michal Oleksiejczuk is going to have the advantage as far as volume. Even though I feel like Gerald Meerschaert's 3.5 inch reach advantage is going to be really, really important in this particular fight. But Michal Oleksiejczuk is going to have the advantage as far as volume. I think he's going to be throwing a lot more than Gerald Meerschaert. Defensively, I feel like Gerald Meerschaert, both of them are not particularly terrible. They're not great, but they're not terrible either. That I'm going to give Gerald Meerschaert a slight advantage, but obviously it has to do with his wrestling, his grappling and submission ability. Obviously, people are a little bit more hesitant to engage with him um, because because of his submission ability. So I don't know. I'm still giving Michal Oleksiejczuk the advantage as far as striking goes. I think he has the knockout power. I think he has the volume to actually find that final shot that can actually win him the fight. I mean, Gerald Meerschaert has pretty decent defense, but I think Michal Oleksiejczuk can find that shot. All right. So on the feed, I don't know. I think it might be a little bit close, but I feel like Michal Oleksiejczuk is going to be the more technical feed, and who has a high probability of actually finishing this fight in the first round, or actually finishing this fight in general. What worries me, to be honest, is Michal Oleksiejczuk's takedown defense. Um, Elijah, Elijah Youngblood Pizarro, give us our three favorite dogs. um, that video is coming. Oh, my three favorite dogs. I don't know. The upsets video is going to come out tomorrow, but off the top of my head, I'd say it's Tim Elliott, Bobby Green, and Gerald Meerschaert. I think these are pretty good underdogs. If you want to get context why I say Bobby Green and why I say Tim Elliott, the breakdown is available on the channel, on the live section. But I think because of Alexander Oleksiejczuk, Ruziboyev is clipping cheeks. It's clapping cheeks. um, I don't know, man. I feel like, but we'll see. We'll see though when I get to that particular fight. I'll try to actually not. I'm going to break it down, so I'll give you my thoughts on that particular fight when I get to it. But for now, this particular fight honestly concerns me a little bit. Green, that's crazy. Okay, Elijah, I'll respond. Let me finish up with the breakdown here. So, in conclusion, my subscribers and I are going with Michal Oleksiejczuk, but I don't know, man. When you consider the fact that Gerald Meerschaert is such a good submission artist, it honestly worries me when you combine that with the fact that Michal Oleksiejczuk does not have the best takedown defense. And if Gerald Meerschaert can get this fight to the ground, I think it's over. Even though I'm very critical of the fact that what do you call him? Gerald Meerschaert has not. Is he battle or is it boy? If I'm going battle, um, so even though I'm a little bit hesitant to pick what do you call him, Michal Oleksiejczuk, I feel like he has that knockout power. This particular fight, it's kind of challenging to actually have any confidence in either of them because you can go Gerald Meerschaert and then he gets knocked out, and you can go Alexander. But what do you mean? What do I call him? Michal Oleksiejczuk, and he gets submitted because of his horrible takedown defense. But I don't know, man. I'm going with the guy who has a bit of momentum. I mean, Gerald Meerschaert just lost to Brad Tavares, who I don't think is particularly. Gerald Meerschaert is also 37 at this point. So in MMA years, that's ancient. I know that a lot of these unks have been winning fights. But I mean, losing to Brad Tavares for me is where I draw the line. I don't think Brad Tavares is that great. Like, the thing about middleweight is that it doesn't have a lot of talent, right? There are special fighters there and there, but generally, that's one of the things that make me think Hamza Chimaev is going to run that division for a very long time. As long as he can stay healthy and be active, he can probably shatter every single record because there is no talent there. That's one of the reasons why I felt like Israel Adesanya was able to actually um, reign for as long as he reigned because there was no one who was skilled enough to actually take the belt. Right? As soon as someone who was just as good as he was came along in Alex Pereira, knock him out. Sean Strickland fluked it out. I mean, that doesn't really count. But still, my point is, I don't know. I don't think middleweight is that has that much skill. So I know a lot of people will give a lot of credit to Brad Tavares, but I think he's kind of trash for me. No offense to him, but let me see. Let me actually go to Brad Tavares and see what if there's any criticism or similarities that I can find. Um, oh snap, man! Brad Tavares has pretty good takedown defense, so that that worries me a little bit. But yeah, you know what? The Gerald Meerschaert might win this fight. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm still picking Michal Oleksiejczuk. I genuinely thought Gerald Meerschaert would be the favorite in this particular fight. I don't know why everyone is going with Michal Oleksiejczuk. Even though I'm picking him, I'm genuinely surprised because I feel like everyone would automatically assume that what do you call him? Gerald Meerschaert would win because of his grappling. Right, but we'll see, man. I think Mitchell can actually knock him out early, but his takedown defense is pretty horrible. Hopefully, he's good enough to avoid getting taken down by Gerald Meerschaert because Gerald Meerschaert might be good on the ground, but he's not very good at getting you to the ground. So I hope Michal Oleksiejczuk will be able, at the very least, to avoid getting taken down. But the thing about Michal Oleksiejczuk is that he might not have the best offensive wrestling, but it's there. And normally, when someone has a decent, who's this now? Normally when someone has a decent, normally when someone has a decent, what do you call it? Sorry about that. Like I was receiving a call. Um, so they keep on calling. I'm sorry. Elijah, don't judge. It's like it's a manufacturer's ringtone, my guy. It's a manufacturer's ringtone. I didn't change it, so don't judge me. So, what I wanted to say before I was disturbed was that, hey Joe, Zaini wa phone, akitoro teng, akitlalwane, so maybe mo check. Anyway, so my thing about Michal Oleksiejczuk is, let me get to that point. So Michal Oleksiejczuk, and normally if you listen to my breakdowns a lot, I normally favor people who are pretty good defensively, in order to be a little bit more successful. So my thing in this particular fight is that Gerald Meerschaert is also horrible defensively, right? Maybe you can say, well, he doesn't mind you being in his guard because he knows he can find a way to submit you, which is fine, which is perfectly fine. But the thing is, he's not good defensively. And normally, what that means is that he's not going to be very good offensively as far as taking the fight to the ground. Michal Oleksiejczuk is not the best grappler on the planet, but he has some level of offensive wrestling. And normally, those kind of guys, I feel like someone who has a bit of offensive wrestling, they have enough training and knowledge to improve their defense as far as grappling goes. In fact, let me actually check um, the amount of grapplers that Michal Oleksiejczuk has fought previously and who he has lost to. I feel like there aren't that many grapplers. Oh shit. He was submitted by Kevin Harlan, but I think that was more of a surprise. Um, oh, okay. I feel like I'm wrong a little bit. So he lost to Kevin Harlan. That is a bad look. Kevin Harlan is a scrub, man. I think he was caught off guard. Hit before that by what do you call him? Michel Pereira. I mean, that's not too terrible. Um, okay, two submissions in a row. Kevin Holland is a bad one, man. Bede the cheating Jokwani was submitted by Kyle Baralho. Ah, Michal Oleksiejczuk. Oh, okay, okay, let's go. Okay, he beat Cody Brundage. I mean, Cody Brundage has some level of wrestling, so I don't know. Am I wrong? I mean, I feel like offensively, as far as the grappling, and I know Cody Brundage is a scrub, and I'm not comparing him to, but I'm not saying Gerald Meerschaert is on the same level as Cody Brundage. I'm just talking about the wrestling ability, right? Michal Oleksiejczuk was able to beat Cody Brundage, and Cody Brundage offensively, as far as wrestling goes, I think he has better entries than Gerald Meerschaert, right? Let's leave the submission ability to the side because the point here is, can Gerald Meerschaert get the fight to the ground, right? That's the biggest question that everyone, like, for me personally, that's the question that I needed to answer before I could actually decide who I was going to pick, right? So when you look at people like Cody Brundage, Cody Brandage's takedown entries are significantly better than Gerald Meerschaert's takedown entries, and Michal Oleksiejczuk was able to actually get past him. I'm not saying that means he's going to knock him out, but I just feel like there's a certain level of grappling that's required in order to take the fight to the ground. And I don't feel like Gerald Meerschaert has that wrestling, right? He might have the submission ability, but his wrestling is not particularly great. He doesn't know how to technically get you to the ground, right? My problem is he might not need to be technically good. He just might need to just find a way to get it there. But I'm just hoping that because of his age and because of his horrible entries as far as takedowns go, Michal Oleksiejczuk is going to find a way to clip him, right? And I'm also um what's the right word? I'm also banking on, yes, that's the right word. I'm also banking on the fact that Michal Oleksiejczuk is young, has some offensive wrestling, not particularly great, but my thing about that is that there's room for him to improve very quickly because he has some knowledge of wrestling. I don't know if you understand me. So someone who has horrible defensive wrestling and do not even wrestle offensively, the probability of them improving defensively is very slim, right? And we're not talking about like an elite level wrestler. Gerald Meerschaert can find submissions, but he's not good at taking the fight to the ground. And I feel like this is going to be very important as far as Michal Oleksiejczuk's game, because I think it's going to allow him to, at the very least, find a way to actually defend the takedowns. Because one thing for sure, or rather based on my experience of breaking down fights, normally when a guy is not good defensively, their offense gets hampered by that. And that's why you see someone like Gerald Meerschaert's entries are not particularly good, and he's not able to get the fight to the ground successfully a lot of the time because he is bad defensively. Whereas when you look at someone like Hamza Chimaev, for example, his entries are good, and I think there's a balance. I don't think you can be good offensively if you are bad defensively. That's my opinion. Someone like, for example, Habib Nurmagomedov, he's good defensively and offensively. Um, what do you call him? Kamaru Usman, good defensively, good offensively. Bilal Mohammed, good offensively, good defensively. So I feel like you cannot be good offensively only, and Gerard Meerschaert is not that great offensively, right? And I feel like Michal Oleksiejczuk can find a way to actually improve his takedown defense at the very least enough for him to avoid getting taken down by Gerald Meerschaert, who's not only past his prime, but is not even that great at taking the fight to the ground. If he gets you there, cool, it's over for you. And I'll be worried if Michal Oleksiejczuk is on the ground and Gerald Meerschaert is on top of him. I'm going to be worried. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm going to go with the younger guy with the knockout ability against an older dude who is not particularly great on the feet, does not have the best takedown entries. I'm just, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm just convincing myself of picking Michal Oleksiejczuk because I think this fight is a coin flip. To be honest, I think either of them could win. I'm just going to back the guy who's a little bit younger, who has the knockout ability, who has a bit of offensive wrestling enough to allow him to improve defensively, and as opposed to the guy who doesn't have who has a lot of submissions, granted, but doesn't know how to take the fight to the ground, will be a little bit slower. Probably the cardio might not be the same. I don't know, man. I'm going with Michal Oleksiejczuk. Not very confident. If you value what you have, don't spend your money on this, man. But yeah, I think I don't know who's the favorite here, but I think Gerald Meerschaert is a pretty decent um, underdog. Let me respond to your comment and then so that I can bounce. Um, Elijah Youngblood Ruziboyev is clapping cheeks. Okay. I mean, I'm worried about that. I'm not gonna lie to you. Elijah Youngblood, Tim looks like a caveman. I hope I'm wrong about the underdogs. I'm not gonna lie because obviously I want to get like the most amount of picks correct. Um, Elijah Youngblood Green, that's crazy. Crazy enough, if you listen to my breakdown, you'll understand why I said that. Izzy Battle or Ruziboyev? I'm going Battle, but Ruziboyev has a shot. Elijah Youngblood, Murphy beats Peak, alright. Yeah, I'm going with Murphy, but I'm a little bit worried because um, Pico has good wrestling, and I heard he was training with Hamza. But I mean, Kutateladze was also training with Hamza Chimaev, and that did nothing for him. So training with Hamza Chimaev doesn't really mean anything. Because if Guram Gudateladze can train with Hamza Chimaev and still be terrible, I mean, it doesn't really mean much. Elijah Youngblood. Oh, you were trashing my ringtone. Alpha Tips, how surprised are you that Liron is a plus 140 dog? It's kind of crazy. But I mean, I get it. I get it. Pico has wrestling, and like people like to say, oh, this dude was wrestling with Hamza Chimaev. But they don't realize, like, how many people have trained with Hamza Chimaev, dude. Caio Boralho, okay, that's a bad example because Caio is ranked now. But Guram Kotateladze trained with Hamza Chimaev. There are so many people who've had the ability to. Darren Till was training with Hamza Chimaev, and he was still terrible. So just because you train with Hamza Chimaev doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to be Hamza Chimaev. It doesn't work that way. Ask Darren Till and Guram Gudateladze. Doesn't work that way. Guram was even worse because he was training with both Hamza and Ilya Tuporia and he still got flatlined. So training with someone, to be honest, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be them. It just means you might have a bit of an edge to some extent. But I feel like Leron Murphy can manage the distance and I don't know, pick him apart and get it. I don't know. But I've picked. I think did I pick Patricio Pitbull? No, I didn't pick Patricio Pitbull. I think I picked Yair Rodriguez. But I picked the patchy mix, and I regret ever doing that. I just feel like Bellator guys are not particularly great, man. Even with all the hype in the world, I think the UFC kills these guys by just putting them in the top 5 or in the top 10 with elite level fighters. And I've been saying this. I feel like the UFC is trying to humiliate Bellator or basically PFL by actually putting them against their best fighters so that they can beat them up and then it looks bad. It looks like, dude, your best guys are losing to people who are not even champions. It just feels like that's what the UFC is trying to do. But yeah, I have two more fights I have to break down. Next up is Jessica Andrade versus Lupi Godinez. If you want to join me, press that subscribe button. Click on your notifications so that you get notified when I go live. I'm going to take a couple of minutes, maybe 5 minutes, and then I'm going to go live on the next fight. Or go to the live section. Let's go to that fight. Deuces.